It started quietly, almost like any other day in the world of celebrity relationships, until suddenly it wasn't. A single statement, carefully worded and emotionally charged, began circulating online, and within hours, fans were left stunned, confused, and searching for answers. The couple many had followed, admired, and rooted for had officially called it quits. Abbey Romeo and David Isaacman, once seen as a strong and supportive pair, had released a joint statement confirming their split, and nothing about it felt ordinary. For those who had been following Abbey Romeo's journey, this news hit especially hard. Abbey, known for her openness about her personal struggles, her growth, and her relationships, had built a connection with her audience that went far beyond surface-level celebrity updates. People didn't just watch her life, they felt part of it. And David Isaacman, though more private, had become a familiar presence in that story. Together, they represented something many fans found comforting, a relationship that seemed grounded, supportive, and real in a world often dominated by superficial connections. That's why the announcement felt so sudden. There were no major public arguments, no obvious signs of trouble that fans could point to and say, "We saw this coming." Instead, the breakup arrived in the form of a calm, composed statement, one that suggested maturity, but also hinted at a deeper story that remained largely unspoken. And that contrast is what made it so compelling. Because when something ends quietly, people often feel a need to look even closer, searching for what wasn't said in their joint statement. Abbey Romeo and David Isaacman made it clear that the decision to separate was mutual. They emphasized respect, understanding, and a shared desire to move forward in a positive way. On the surface, it was exactly the kind of message you would expect from two people trying to handle a difficult situation with grace. But beneath that, there was an emotional weight that couldn't be ignored. Because no matter how mutual, respectful a breakup may be, it still represents the end of something meaningful. And that's where the public reaction becomes part of the story. Fans quickly took to social media, expressing shock, sadness, and support. Some questioned what might have happened behind closed doors, while others focused on sending messages of encouragement to both Abbey and David. It became a reminder of how invested people can become in relationships they've only witnessed from a distance. When you watch someone share their life over time, you start to feel like you understand their journey. And when that journey takes an unexpected tone, it affects you more than you might expect at the same time. There's an important reality to acknowledge. What we see online is never the full picture. Social media, interviews, and public appearances show curated moments, snapshots of a relationship, not the complete story. And while Abbey Romeo has always been more open than most, even she has boundaries. There are parts of her life that remain private, and this breakup likely exists within that space. That doesn't stop speculation, of course. In situations like this, people naturally try to fill in the gaps. Was it distance, differences in priorities, personal growth that led them in separate directions? These are questions that may never be fully answered, and perhaps they don't need to be. Because sometimes relationships end not because of a single dramatic event, but because of a gradual shift, something that builds over time until both people realize they are no longer on the same path. What makes this situation particularly significant is Abbey Romeo's personal journey. She has spoken openly in the past about mental health, self-discovery, and the challenges of navigating life in the public eye. For someone who has worked so hard to build stability and understanding within herself, a breakup like this is not just about losing a partner. It's about redefining a chapter of life. And that process, while painful, can also be transformative. For David Isaacman, the situation is equally complex, even if he has maintained a more private presence. Being part of a public relationship means that even personal moments become part of a larger narrative. His decision to stand alongside Abbey in releasing a joint statement reflects a level of respect and unity, even in separation. It suggests that whatever happened between them, there was a shared commitment to handling it with care, and that's something worth paying attention to. In a world where breakups are often messy, public, and filled with accusations, this approach feels different. It doesn't provide drama or clear answers, but it does offer something else: dignity. It shows that even when relationships end, they don't have to do so in a way that creates more harm. Still, the emotional impact remains. For fans, this news marks the end of a story they have been following. For Abbey and David, it marks the beginning of something new, even if that new chapter starts with uncertainty. And that's a part we often overlook. The idea that endings are also beginnings. Even when they don't feel like it at first or as time goes on, both of them will move forward in their own ways. Abbey Romeo will likely continue to share parts of her journey, offering insight into how she navigates this change, just as she has done with other challenges in her life. David Isaacman may choose a quieter path, stepping away from the spotlight while focusing on his own direction. And slowly, the intensity of this moment will fade, replaced by whatever comes next. But right now, in this moment, the story still feels fresh. It still carries questions, emotions, and a sense of surprise that hasn't fully settled. And maybe that's what makes it resonate. Because at its core, this isn't just about two people breaking up. It's about the universal experience of change. The realization that even the things that seem stable can shift, and that sometimes the strongest decision you can make is to let go today as we watch this story unfold. It's worth remembering that behind every headline are real people dealing with real emotions. Abbey Romeo and David Isaacman are not just names in a trending topic. They are individuals navigating a difficult moment in their lives. And while the public may never know the full story, what we do know is this. They chose honesty, respect, and clarity in the way they share their decision. And in a world that often thrives on chaos, that choice says a lot.